So when you look at this area here, basically everything here, it's quite obvious. It appears that waves are coming this way at the same time. If you look and like really stare into it, they also seem to, the waves also seem to wander from here to there. Can you see? And it's an interesting perception, an interesting illusion. As we were just drinking tea there, the Shao, she just brewed tea and she sat here next to me. If you want to watch two people sitting and doing nothing for 15 minutes, then you can check the other live video. I think I made it prior to this. I will also upload this. I'll make it available. So as we were sitting there drinking tea, I was looking at the area that I just pointed out, and I thought, wow, this is so interesting. It looks so smooth, how the waves go up and down and up and down. So at the same time, I realized this, and I think it's one of the first times, or probably the first time I really realized it and gave it some thought, or like became aware of it and not just noticing it. I'm sure I noticed it in the past, but I really gave it some thought. And this is really how life goes. That we expect things to be one way and only one way, because your mind, logic, science, experience, they all make you conclude that, well, the wind is coming from that direction, so it put water towards me, and the waves have to come the other way around, right? Like from there. But then you look and you see this thing happening, and of course there's a scientific explanation, but that's not my point. That's not what I don't care about this. But what matters, and that's really all that matters, is the perception. You can perceive it in a certain way. So what is true? What is the truth in this case and in many other cases? So when we started our tea project, Sato Tea, we got into all this like years ago, and then like really started it last year. The same thing applied, like the very same thing applied. We had a certain understanding of the world, of us, who we are as like Shao and Inan. We had a certain understanding of what we ought to do in order to build this brand, in order to make money, in order to convey our message, in order to even form our message and form our thoughts and the whole thing. And yeah, a few months in, and actually like a few weeks in, like you start to understand, like it all starts to come down, it all starts to crumble. You start to realize that, oh, actually, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. So we thought in a way like, okay, we have to, like be all professional. And I was like researching, okay, marketing this, how to get reach, 20 classic marketing books, watching countless YouTube videos, educating myself, like quote unquote educating myself, thinking, okay, that's the way to go, because I have a business background, right? I was doing like real estate asset management for 20 years. So my mind is very much wired in like this like logical realm, and you can tackle everything if you just educate yourself well enough and have like a clear view on it, this kind of thing. So in a way, it was a lot of unlearning, and it still is a lot of unlearning, getting back to what is called beginner's mind in like a Buddhist term. And to give you an example, it's like with Satoshi, we analyzed, okay, what's our target group, how could we reach them, and so on and so on and so on. And I want to like fast to this tea tour that we're doing right now, becoming tree men. You can look it up, like it's on Instagram on our account, Satoshi. Where we just briefly decided to embark on a journey, like while visiting family in Germany, to embark on a journey. And we went to Prague with our car, and then Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia. And then, yeah, again, like the mind kicked in, like the way we wanted to do this. And you could feel this, like in the beginning, it was like, okay, like overthinking stuff, organizing, planning, and all that. And it was already quite spontaneous and unplanned. But the longer it went on, the more, as it just said, like a certain expectation you have, a certain of reality, it gets bended, like it starts to, and you start to understand people that you pointed out in the beginning, that you they might support you, or they might be interested in all of that, turns out, yeah, it might be true, but there's another variable, like the unknown, that is so much bigger. People that you of, events that you never thought of might happen, and they do happen. This is the stuff that like really moves you forward, that really creates momentum, and that shapes your experience, and that reshapes your perception of reality. That is the very, very interesting part, at least for me on this journey, in particular on this tea trip that we're doing right now. So we ended up saying, okay, hey, like let's cut out Finland, because the feedback was not like overwhelming. Seemed to be not much interest. So we didn't want to go. And then after our last event in Tallinn, I think 2 days ago, which is great, by the way, at Charan and Chado. You can also look them up. Very, very nice guys, especially Janos, and they handle the stuff. You can contact us if you don't know them or can't find them. So we gave Janos a ride home, and then said, okay, let's turn around and then slowly head back to Germany. A couple of days drive, and we thought, okay, on the way back we can capture all those countries and take time, and we'll collect some footage to make another film. And I was thinking that, I thought, what if we just check, like, how much longer would it be to still go to Finland, even though we have nothing set up there, nothing booked, no schedule, so to say. And go to Finland, drive through Sweden, and back to Germany. And that's exactly what we ended up doing. Spontaneously, okay, let's just take the next ferry. So we booked the ferry. Doesn't make sense economically, because there's no business waiting for us. There's no, there's no event. We just did that, and then took the ferry, and we arrived and drove, I think, 10 to 12 hours yesterday from Helsinki all the way to where we are right now, around Oulu. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but Oulu, and 20 kilometers north from Oulu, the water. And then here comes the thing, like comes the kicker. We met those two guys, exactly where I'm sitting right now, and they were swimming here. I took pictures, and one of them because I was not very sensitive, not very how to say, considerate is the word. So in wall photography, usually I'm very considerate, but in that moment I was just so amazed by the picture I could snap. And then one of them said, "Hey, like, don't take pictures." And I was like, "Okay, so I apologized." And then because I didn't want to just like leave a bitter taste, I was approaching them. I was like, "Hey, what's up? And do you want to see the pictures? Maybe you like them. I can send them to you." And then we started, like, a conversation started to develop. First, the first guy, then the other one was a little bit pissed, but then later on, a few minutes later, he came back and he was like, "Okay, what are you doing?" I said, "Okay, explain the trip. We drove all the way." And then later on, they asked, "But why did you?" And then I explained the tea thing. They'd be curious. And then we sit down, and later on, they joined. They're so curious about life. Why? Explained I had a job, I had all that, like in Berlin, in Germany, making good money. They were so curious, like, why did you give up that lifestyle? And I pointed at, like, it's because of this. Look around you. Like, this is the life I want. This is I want to sit here and I want to share something, and I want to, like, really create value for people, and not just sit in an office and look at spreadsheets and make more money for people who already have a lot of money. That just didn't sit right with me, and all that stuff. I don't want to get into it right now at this point. And then we ended up, like, we offered them, like, "Hey guys, like, if you want to check it out, just check the website," because they didn't have social media or anything. I said, "But we still have a website. You can see what we do." And they, "Yeah, of course," like, super curious. And then they kept on asking more questions about the tea, so much that we said, "If you really want to, we can send you tea." And I realized we have all our tea in the car, so we can give you the tea right now. Yeah, okay, why not? And then it transitioned into, "We can brew tea for you right now. We can just brew for you." Yeah, why not? And they were, like, having a good time, drinking beers, swimming here, and it was already 11, but because it's so far north, it was still bright and it was cold and a lot of mosquitoes, but they didn't seem to mind. They were wet from swimming, but they just, yeah, they drink tea. So we sat down with those young guys on a Friday night in the middle of nowhere, and they came here by bus and bikes. Their way back home was 1.5 hours at least on bikes, 22 kilometers to the next city. But they went like, "Yeah, let's just sit down and have tea. It's cool." And we chilled, and they shared stories. We had such fun time, good time, and that's exactly my point. Maybe it took me a little bit long to get here. We were like 14 minutes in, but that's just how it is. That inspired me to talk about expectations and perception, all that. Because you expect one thing, you perceive it as like one thing, but then it ends up being like something totally different. People that you would have never expected to be interested in your story, even talking to you, even, like, being interested in tea, being interested in, and that's the thing, like, it's not about the tea, it's just a tool to glue things together, and it could be anything. Music, it could be anything. But for us, at least, it helps us, and for me in particular, it helped me to jump out of my box and jump out of my what I think important, what I think has to be in a certain way. It just really breaks my mind. Really, like, in a, like, really literally like zazen, when you sit there and just, like, your mind gets broken again and again and again. And when you think you're on the right track, when you think you figured it out, you get slammed down again. And this is exactly the process of what I just told you with the waves. Like, you think it's the way, and it's the other way. You think those guys are like just some weirdos, living in the woods, and then we end up having like a deep philosophical conversation about life, and my ambitions and their ambitions, and he was sharing. I was just a great time, and that's the stuff I'm grateful for, and that's like something that that it's worth experiencing and like worth getting up for in the morning, and why I share this, it's really like my personal experience is really just like a gateway for people to listen to this and hopefully be inspired. I don't do this, right? I don't sit here because I feel so great about talking to the camera. Actually, I think it's very weird, and it's not my most enjoyable, thing to do. But if you listen to this, if you really invest those now like 16 minutes, then yeah, maybe like you get something out of it, you know. Maybe it reshapes your perception. Maybe it makes you question why you believe things are they are and can only be this one way. So yeah, with this being said, I hope you have a good day, a good night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Don't get stuck in your one dimension, in your one viewpoint, in your one angle, in your one layer. You know, peel them all off. That's what I would encourage you. And just go ahead. You know, don't be afraid, even though there's pain, even though there's sacrifice. But just march on. Do it every single day, every single moment. Just walk. You know, and even though you have to walk alone, ultimately, at the same time you're not alone. At the same time, there's a guy sitting by the water somewhere in Finland, conveying this message to you. You know, so thank you. Turn the camera, give you some last beautiful views. I try to be quiet.